Premier League predictions for the last time this season. Welcome back, football fans, to another episode of the Prediction Show. In this one, as you can see, we are on OddAlerts.com. We have got the probability model enabled here so we can see it for all of these Premier League games. Game week 38. The season is done and dusted. Most of these teams, they're not playing for anything which can lean into goals for sure, shots on targets. Tottenham, how will they respond after partying for the past couple of days? Manchester United, how will they respond after licking their wounds for the last couple of days? Manchester City look to have secured a Champions League spot, but they won't take anything for granted. Brentford with a late push as well. Arsenal, nice easy game for them away at Southampton. Nottingham Forest, Chelsea is probably where most eyes will be come 4 p.m. on Sunday. Liverpool will lift the trophy, of course, at home to Crystal Palace, who themselves will have been partying. What a week for them. FA Cup winners. And I think Liverpool will score a few goals in that game because Marc Guehi is injured. He is out of the team with concussion, as is Adam Wharton as well. Adam Wharton and Guehi both out of the England team for those reasons. Ipswich West Ham is a bit of a nothing game. Bournemouth Leicester, similar story, although Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton, I think you'll see a bit of a performance from those teams. And because they've been so bad, when I say a bit of a performance, it might just mean that they score a goal or they don't concede more than once or more than twice. Southampton, of course, coming off the back of a 0-0 draw with Man City, and Newcastle, Everton as well. That's a very, very tasty fixture. Newcastle maybe without Isak. He was left out of the previous squad. I've actually transferred him out of my fantasy football team, so expect him to get a hat-trick. Now, before we jump into the predictions and the football form guide, I've got a question for you. Get your comments in. How many goals will there be on the final day of the Premier League season? Typically, there's usually more goals on the final day. Pressure's off for some teams. Sombreros and flip-flops are on for some teams and managers. Not all of them, as we can see by this list here, but how many goals will there be overall? I'm going to go with 38. So 3.8 per game. That is pretty generous, isn't it? That would be a nice final day, an exciting goal rush on Premier League TV. Let's hope for that. Get your comments in. And anyone who gets it correctly will win a month of OddAlerts Pro. So now we move on to the football form guide, and this is a great tool for checking out the form of teams across any league in the world. So we can see we're looking at the Premier League here, and we're looking at the last 6 games overall, and I think I'm going to keep it with that. So we can see the initial stat, the initial metric that you see is games won, and we can see Chelsea have won 5 of the last 6. Fair play to them. Nottingham Forest, they've gone from 3rd down to 7th. They must be kicking themselves. I know they're still going to get European football, which is unbelievable if you'd have said that at the start of this season or at the back end of last season, but they were 3rd. And some of the points that they've dropped against teams that they should be beating or should be seeing out those games, so they will be kicking themselves and hoping that they can have one last big performance against a Chelsea team that is in form. As we can see, they've come into form at the right end of the season. Defensively, they've been pretty good. Players like Cucurella doing very, very well. Reece James coming back into the squad. So in terms of not winning games, we have the 2 relegated teams, Southampton and Ipswich. They have won 0 out of the last 6 games. Will that continue? And actually, let's just stop a minute, because in 18th place, winning 1 of the last 6 games across all competitions, is Arsenal. Terrible end to the season. I'm sorry, Arsenal fans, but I think you've bottled the season. They up until a couple of weeks ago, they could have finished 3rd or 4th, and they got one more win, didn't they, which has probably pushed them over the line in terms of finishing 2nd, but they've really stumbled to the end of the season, Arsenal, unfortunately. And they'll blame injuries and whatnot, but actually defensively, I don't think they've had that many injuries in the second half of the season. Just no real replacement for Saka. And then when Saka came back, he wasn't at his best. Odegaard not at his best as well. And Zubamendi coming in will be a good signing, of course. Let's move to goals. And the team that is scoring the most goals is Brentford. And I've got Mbeumo in my fantasy team for the final game week. I've had him in for the past month or two. Very, very good player, as is Wieser as well. Wieser actually has scored more non-penalty goals than any other player in the Premier League, so well done to him. The unofficial golden boot, you could maybe call that. Brighton have been scoring goals, and you'd expect them to score a few more goals at Tottenham. It'll be very good for Tottenham to have that final home game, of course, so they can show the trophy. They had a big parade, I think yesterday on Friday, so they're still going to be a little bit heavy in the head, aren't they, after the celebrations? Maybe some of the kids will play in this fixture. And of course, another team that will be a little bit heavy and without Guehi and without Wharton is Crystal Palace. They've scored 13 goals in the last 6, as have Liverpool. Let's jump down to the bottom of this list, and we see that Southampton, as you would expect, just 2 goals in the last 6. Ipswich, then Bournemouth, quite surprisingly, but you would expect them to get a couple at least against Leicester City, who I don't actually see in the bottom of this list. So they have improved since being relegated. They have scored 8 goals in the last 6 games. And that one is an early favourite of mine for BTTS. I think the odds are 1.75 at this moment in time. So let's continue to look through some more metrics here and then jump to Bet365. Now, if you missed it last week, we added XG into the football form guide. We can see the total XG per team, and we see that Leicester City are, of course, there. The majority of that, I imagine, has been XG against. This is total. So we can see Arsenal are up there, which is interesting because they were, I think, 4th bottom or 5th bottom in that goals scored list that we just took a look at. Liverpool up there as well, as are Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace and Liverpool neck and neck for goals scored and for XG. Newcastle, 3.31. This is, of course, total XG. If we look at XG4, which is XG, essentially the quality of your chances created, how many goals should you have scored, the average player would have scored. 2.13, Liverpool lead the charts in the Premier League, and as I said at the top of the video, I can see them getting at least a couple of goals in this video. Arne Slot has said that Trent Alexander-Arnold is unlikely to play in this game. How much do you think Alexander-Arnold is regretting the decision, if at all? Maybe once he gets to Madrid, he won't be regretting it at all. But at this moment in time, the fans aren't really taking to him, are they? He should have maybe announced it after everything had happened. Then he can at least, lift the trophy and have some joy at the stadium today and go on the open top bus tour through Liverpool. I just think it's going to be soured for him a little bit. Now we can go to the bottom of this list as well. It's always quite interesting, and we can of course see Southampton 0.62, and they're playing Arsenal, who've got one of the best defences in the Premier League. It's not looking good for them, is it, on their final day? Everton away at Newcastle, same story. You would expect Newcastle to get a victory there. Ipswich, Tottenham, interestingly, 17th in this list. Nottingham Forest, they're going to need to score, aren't they, against Chelsea? But Tottenham, across the last 6 games, they have adjusted, but I do feel in this final home game, with the sort of glory and momentum of the Europa League win, that they will play proper Ange ball once more. This last 6 games leading into the Europa League final, they were a kind of different team, and it showed in the Europa League final with Solanke putting in a very sort of tireless performance, selfless performance, really. Now, I've just jumped to Bet365 to show you something, because I do this bit off camera, just sort of putting the selections together, but I just wanted to press record again because Tottenham are 4.2 to win at home. Now, as I said just a moment ago, this game I think can go either way. They can come and play out of their skin knowing that they're European champions, or what the bookies are thinking here, Brighton could turn up well rested and continue to score more than once, as they have in the majority of recent games. I think in 5 out of the last 6 games they've scored 2 or more goals, Brighton. But Tottenham at 4.2 makes it worth a double chance. And you can see as well, if you scroll down here, over 2.5 goals, 1.33, BTTS 1.36. So the bookies are expecting goals on both ends. And are you telling me that if a game gets out of control at home for Tottenham, that they can't come out as winners? I think they can. I really think they can. And I think there's a lot of confidence flowing through the team now to see Tottenham, after they've been crowned champions of Europe, not, obviously it's not the Champions League, but still, to win the Europa League and then to have a home game after on the Sunday. I think there'll be a bit of a boost in their performance. Certainly, I wouldn't have them at 4.2 to win this game. I would have them maybe evens or something. But here we are, 4.2. Let me know what you think about that one in the comments. We can now jump to BTTS and see that West Ham away at Ipswich, they've just had a flat end to the season, haven't they? Even since Potter came in. Liverpool against Palace, 5. Brighton, 5 as well. BTTS, 1.33, the odds that we just saw there. Arsenal, 4 of the last 6 ended with BTTS. Let's have a look at the other end of this. 2 out of 6 for Chelsea, who have been keeping a few clean sheets as of late. Same goes for Newcastle. Tottenham as well, just 2 out of 6. But I do think a lot of these metrics go out the window for certain games in the Premier League on Sunday. So taking all that data and some of the others that I've looked at as well from the API on OddAlerts, I'm now going to put together a selection for Sunday. I'm going to put together 1 selection for this video and 2 more on Discord. So you can get the Discord link in the description. And of course, we will be doing a highest return on investment wins, highest ROI wins in the Discord again. What you have to do is put together a slip, post it in the Discord. The one with the highest return on investment is the winner. And the last winner was Rob for the FA Cup final, and he won a 27-1 slip, and for that he won a mystery football shirt. So well done to Rob, absolutely superb pick. He had Palace to win and 6+ saves from Henderson, which Henderson, man of the match, penalty save, just to mention one of those saves. So yeah, let me have a look at this and get back to you. So this is the final slip for the Premier League season from me on YouTube. If you want 2 more, get yourself to the Discord link in the description. And here we are then, 3.56, which is the right kind of price for me. Bournemouth, Leicester, BTTS. Tottenham to score in the second half if they do take a little bit of time to get going. Maybe they bring some of the more experienced players on in that second half. Son, for example, might be benched again to come on in this game. Ipswich to get a goal in their final game in the Premier League this season. 3.56. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Before we go, I am going to go to the homepage and predict the score of every game. And of course, get your comments in. How many goals will we see in this Premier League final day? So let's go through now, and you can do this with me in the comments. Southampton, Arsenal, I am going to go with 4-0 to Arsenal. Sorry, Southampton fans. Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, 1-1. I'm going to go with there. Wolves against Brentford, 3-1 to Brentford. I'm going to go with Fulham against Manchester City. They didn't really pop up in the form guide, did they? Fulham or Manchester City. So I imagine they're both sort of just in the middle. Fulham 10th, started the season superbly, and 10th is still a very, very good finish for Fulham. Don't get me wrong there. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for Manchester City in this game. Although they have just lost an FA Cup final, so they could be sort of kicking themselves a little bit. But you don't want to play Man City when they're hurt, if you know what I mean. They can come back and really put in a performance. Man United, Aston Villa, I'm going to go with a 3-1 Aston Villa victory. Tottenham, Brighton, I'm going to go with a 3-2 Tottenham victory. Double chance Tottenham is over evens, by the way, so that might make it into my other slips that will appear on Discord. Liverpool, Crystal Palace, going to go with a 3-0 Liverpool win, maybe a couple of goals in the second half for Liverpool. And Ipswich, West Ham, 2-1 to Ipswich on their final day in the Premier League for who knows how long. Bournemouth, Leicester City, going to go 3-1 to Bournemouth in that game. A lot of goals here. And Newcastle, Everton, 2-0 to Newcastle. And, of course, lineup depending, because let's see if Isak plays. Let's see if Salah, Diaz play, or whether he goes with sort of Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott again. Tottenham. Who's going to play for Tottenham? Will João Pedro play his final game for Brighton? Will Manchester United play the kids in response to the Europa League loss, or will the manager make those players go out onto the pitch and face the fans? Man City, similar questions. Those players that they bought in January, will they get a game apart from Marmoush? You know, the others are just sat on the bench. What a waste of money. If they don't really play next season, what were they signed for? Brentford, Burmo, Wissa, going to be targeted this year, aren't they? This summer they could be playing their final games as well. Brentford's right back, by the way, interesting to watch out for. If he doesn't sign for Brentford, he's on loan from Fiorentina. I think someone else will snap him up because he's come into the team for the last few games, I think, and he's been amazing down that right side. And Forest Chelsea, yeah, as we've seen, that's the game of the day in terms of what it can mean. There's not much else on the line really. And Southampton Arsenal, Southampton expected to get battered. So yeah, there will be more content throughout the summer, of course, focusing on how you can put value betting systems together and how you can automate alerts and stuff like that with the site. More tutorials coming, and yeah, hope you enjoy them. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.